Okay, good morning. This is the New York City Board of Standards and Appeals Public Review Session for May 5th, 2020, 10 a.m. session. The following cases will be discussed: 2019-48BZ, 3145 41st Street, Queens; 2019-188BZ, 1212 East Gun Hill Road, the Bronx; and 2019-84BZ, 107 1870th Road, Queens; 2019-273BZ, 139, 146 West Street, Manhattan. Please do not call in. This is only a review session. First item is 2019-48BZ, 3145 41st Street, Queens.
Okay. Okay. I want to say this submission was very thorough and responsive to the board's comments, I thought. A second uniqueness argument was added to the statement of findings. It states that the existing house located at the rear is unique and has existing non-complying side yards. Hence, the proposed new building should be allowed to have the same non-complying side yards. And I'm talking about this because this is a uniqueness argument that I don't want to encourage on these kinds of applications. But the proposal here is to demolish the existing building. So the argument has to focus on the narrowness of the lot. And furthermore, with the existing building at the rear, it does not impose on the existing neighboring buildings in the same way as the new building would. So I just want to kind of move that argument out of the consideration. The applicant provided a chart of 13 buildings built since 1961 without side yards and ranging in width from 19.8 to 21 feet. I'm just curious whether the zoning allowed it because they're built after. So maybe it was an R5 where there was no yard requirement or something like that, or were they the subject of variances? Another set of 9 post-61 buildings on 25-foot or wider lots was also provided. These appear to have complying side yards and result in houses that range in width from 17 feet, 3 of them did, to 20 feet. And as requested, a study of 1 versus 2 family houses in the area was provided, showing that the vast majority are 2 family. But so for taking this all together, I'm persuaded in this situation that there is a uniqueness argument, and that the width of the house is reasonable in light of the other houses in the neighborhood. And, you know, if we were pulling it down to 18 feet or something, you wouldn't have much of a side yard to speak of. And there are very few houses of that kind of width in the neighborhood on similarly sized lots. So then I move to Commissioner Shanda.
So as I was reviewing the revised uniqueness analysis, and I agree with you, this was a very thorough analysis, and this analysis kind of helped me also understand why they were making the argument of the needing for the side yard, the need for the they were trying to make the argument that we need to provide 2 parking spaces, 2 family homes, and the side yard is non-existent. The requirement is making it difficult. And what was interesting is that back in 2008, City Council had adopted a zoning text amendment that introduced zoning resolution section 23-45, which is the planting requirements, requiring minimum planted area in the front yard. And prior to that, there was no such regulation limiting the amount of paved area in the front of a residential building. All the modern buildings, so-called in their list of modern buildings, all the study showed that all this construction had happened prior to the 2008, the text amendment. So none of them were required to maintain a planted area. So they could have paved the front yard and provide all the required parking spaces, which today, that paved area will not be allowed the way they are way they were allowed prior to 2008. So I think combination of all of those factors and the fact that the analysis shows there has been no new construction since the text amendment. And I would agree that a lot of that is result of the difficulty in trying to maintain the balance of providing parking on site, maintaining the front yard, maintaining the side yard. All of those requirement has, people are not building single family homes in this neighborhood because it's most of a two and three family homes. So I'm fine with, I think that they have done a very good job of making the arguments and stitching all the elements of the difficulty of getting this site built. And it is very much in the context of the neighborhood. So the uniqueness finding is definitely being met based on this revised analysis. And the neighborhood character analysis ideally did not have an issue even before. So they're okay with it. I'm okay with that.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Otley Brown?
I looked at the information and I found it very persuasive. I also did some additional analysis on my own using their Pluto data, but focusing on the 21-foot wide lots. And out of the 10 lots that I saw that were exactly 21 feet wide, 9 have 21-foot wide homes, and 1 has an 18-foot wide home. And then I also did a look at the 20-foot wide homes, and out of the 48 lots that are 20-foot wide, all of them have homes that are 20-foot wide. So I felt that additional information met the finding that it was okay to not have side yards and to have a 21-foot wide home. So I'm okay with it, and I feel that it's not overreaching, and the streetscape shows that it fits into the character of the neighborhood nicely. So I'm okay with this.
Great. How many homes were 20-foot wide? How many?
About approximately 48.
48.
Foot. Yeah.
Okay. On 20-foot wide lots.
On 20-foot wide lots with 20-foot wide homes.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Good. Thank you very much. Commissioner Sheta.
Thank you, Chair. I totally agree that this submission is much better than the previous one. One of the concerns that were discussed last hearing was why they couldn't build, or they cannot build, a two-family with a shallower side yard instead of like eliminating the side yard in totally. And I believe they have addressed this in addition to addressing many other points that we discussed last hearing. So I believe they are good to go, and yeah, I'm satisfied with it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And Commissioner Shabeta.
I was persuaded by the applicant. I believe that this was a comprehensive submission, and it's satisfied with it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Okay, thank you, everybody. Okay.
Okay, item number 2, 2019-188 BZ, 1212 East Gun Hill Road, the Bronx. This is a review session. Please don't call in.
The applicant did notify immediate neighbors of the April 28th teleconference hearing. So that's part of the trickiness of us moving into this situation. So I hope that any neighbors interested in this application were able to watch us on the YouTube that was on April 28th, so that they would be advised that the hearing had moved till today. And I really do want to apologize for any confusion our getting up to speed on these YouTube and Zoom hearings may have caused, if any neighbors want to participate in this. The applicant provided a DOB determination that tax lot 32 is a pre-existing pre-zoning map amendment zoning lot, pre-zoning map amendment zoning lot, and can be treated as entirely in the C12 district, which is what we did ask them to clarify. The trash enclosure is shown on the plans as being moved, which is what we asked them to do, moved away from the residential property line, which I think is great, although it wasn't moved to inside of the building as was discussed. I know this is a legalization, so the request to move it inside the building is maybe more appropriate with new construction, but they did move it away from the residential property line. So I think that's a big improvement. The lumen spread diagram shows lighting levels at 0 on the residential property line and seems to be believable. A landscaping plan was provided that shows arbor vitae bushes along portions of the residential property line. But I ask, why is there an unplanted strip along Pearsall Avenue and Gun Hill Road? And why is the vacant triangular lot adjacent that is owned by McDonald's, why is that vacant of any landscaping at all and just neglected? It should be planted. What is that? And they need to show the actual vegetation that is in place. For example, at the northeast corner intersection of Pearsall and Gun Hill, and at the center of the Gun Hill frontage, there's planting in real life that's not shown on the plans. Actually, those are just 2 of the places, but actually on all of the frontages, the landscape drawing doesn't reflect the reality. It's kind of like it was drawn without visiting the site. It's kind of strange. They need to show planting bed details with curbs and adequate width and depth for the health of the plantings. That was not provided. And for the menu board sound transmission, they need to provide a section, which is what we've been asking for in other applications, showing that the 6-foot-high acoustical fence will actually block the sound above that height. This is a legalization, so as soon as work is allowed to be commenced, which may be sooner than we think with construction, it should be done then. And I didn't think we got an answer for the need for a 24-hour drive-through. That was a question we posed at the last hearing. I don't think we got an answer to that. So now I go to Commissioner Shanda.
Hello. Okay. What was not clear to me in the drawing was if the fence along the rear residential lot line, if it is going to be an acoustical fence or not, because the drawings do not seem to clarify that through any notation. It seems it's still being shown as a chain link fence without any kind of acoustical barrier or measures being added to the fence. So with that in mind, my questions are going to the sound exhibit drawing that was submitted. It's not sure how the sound level of up to 24 decibel and 18 decibel is getting blocked by a chain link fence without any acoustical buffer. That was my first question. And if there is no such acoustical barrier that is being considered, I strongly will recommend that we do require an acoustical barrier, especially abutting lot 28. Even though that belongs to McDonald's, they might dispose it off for to the abutting property, whatever, and it can be used as a residential. So we need to make sure, especially along that wall, we provide the acoustical fence, because that's where the menu board is. And if you look at the sound drawing, and I'm trying to get to that. I'm sorry, just bear with me. I'm having difficulty with the drawings today. Yeah, drawing number BSA 013. So in the BSA 013 drawing, so there's the green zone, which is the sound level of up to 24 decibel.
Sorry, I have to interrupt you. It says proposed acoustic fence to be installed on existing 6-foot-high chain link fence, which yields a reduction of 28 decibels. It's just a note at the bottom.
Okay, I did not see that. I think I had a, okay. Which date are you looking at? I didn't see it in the drawing that I was reviewing, so.
It's 4/28/20. It was submitted late. I don't know if they added, that note. It was,
Okay, I see it. Okay.
mhm.
I was looking at an earlier drawing, so it was not legible. So, okay.
This is
Did I
part of
take-
the problem which we shouldn't allow, frankly. We get piecemeal submissions. Commissioners have already read the project, reviewed the files, and we're not aware of the piecemeal submission, which is nobody's fault except the applicants. We cannot get piecemeal submissions. They should be rejected by our project managers, because this came in just a few days ago, and if you didn't review it a few days ago, you wouldn't have caught it.
Madam Chair, I
Yes.
do remember I looked at the earlier drawing and the drawing was not very legible when I was reviewing it. So I had requested for a revised set of drawings that was more legible. And it's my fault that I forgot to check it. So,
Okay, okay, but still, yeah. So they should be submitted legibly. It's like, why are you submitting a legible set of drawings, right? It's again, makes the board responsible for the applicant's submission quality. How? Why? Not okay. Anyway, this is
okay,
my,
so then I take my comment back because
Okay.
that would make the acoustical fence, the analysis reasonable, but we do need to see the section.
right, okay. Okay. Any other comments, though?
No.
No? Okay.
No additional comments. All the other comments that you have said, I stand by those.
Okay. And, oops, sorry, Commissioner Sheta.
What about me?
Oh, I'm sorry. You know what?
Fine.
Nothing personal. It's, wait a minute, hold on a second, unmute, mute. Okay. It's in the order of the pictures that I see. That's, sorry.
That's why I didn't talk.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
So I agree with you, Chair, in that I was still wondering why they were not willing to landscape that buffer lot 28, at least while it's still in McDonald's ownership, especially since the driveway lane pushes up against the fence and you can't have landscaping for a large portion of that driveway lane, that they should then at least landscape the buffer.
Mhm. Okay,
And that was my only remaining comment.
okay, good, thank you. Apologies.
That's okay.
Okay, Commissioner Sheta.
Thank you, Chair. I see that they moved the trash enclosure, like the chair mentioned, which is big improvement again. Two other points very quickly. The light. Sometimes people submit light analysis and we look at them and we say, no, we don't buy this, submit measurements. In this case, what is submitted is not measurements, it's analysis using computer code or whatever. But I buy it because it makes sense, because when it doesn't give me the impression that somebody just into the drawing and he just played with the numbers. I see movement for some light poles. And when you look at the numbers for the lumen spread, they do make sense. They increase where they should increase and they decrease where they should decrease. It's not the opposite. So I'm okay with the lumen spread diagram. Regarding the sound propagation diagram, I have a different opinion on it. I would say I'm okay with it, even without the section. And the reason why is because when you look at the values, first of all, we have an acoustical fence. The shading or the diagram provided is most likely at about 3 feet above grade, which is the microphone level. The fence is 6 feet. Sound propagation is, I believe, if I recall from the physics, it's inversely proportional to the square of the distance. So at 3 feet, when you go to 6 feet, that just the top of the fence, the distance will be longer from the source, and the intensity of the sound would be much less. If you look at the diagram right now, just at the fence, we're at the end of the yellow. So we're at the start of the green. The green is about 24. 24, and if you go to the chart, 25 is breathing, sound of breathing at 1 foot. So it's analogous to somebody's standing at the fence and he's just breathing. If this is the case, and somebody even is standing at the top of the fence and is breathing, we cannot prevent that. If somebody's doing maintenance or something, it has the same effect than the microphone. The reason I'm saying this, I did look at when I saw this diagram, actually, I did look at other submissions from other McDonald's and other projects, just to learn and see how these people play with these kind of figures. And I realized that probably the output of this microphone is kind of lower than other microphones that we have seen on other McDonald's properties. So I'm okay with it the way it is.
Why do you think the output on this mic is lower than the others? Where's that?
I did look at the if you see the color, the red color,
Yes.
it's 30. The output is right at the microphone. It's 36 decibels. I
Right.
did go to other McDonald's and even including one White Castle. Remember that White Castle on
Yes. They're much higher initial
yes,
output.
when we had an issue and we had them put it inside a compartment, I did look at the output, the red equivalent red, it was much higher than that.
But
So I
so
believe-
where are we getting this from? We don't have a spec sheet. How do we know they don't start at 36? Because that's a good way for it to, I mean, it's a little similar to the lumen spread, that you're sort of taking their word for it, that the light puts out this many lumens, and then they do the modeling. Do we have a cut sheet on this menu board?
I haven't seen a cut sheet. Hold on, speaker system designed to project 15 dP above ambient. Generally considered to be 45. No, I haven't seen that. But look, they could submit a cut sheet and then install a different one.
Well, but that's a different thing, right? We're always going based on their representation to us of what they're actually doing. And I'm also concerned about inconsistency. We ask some for a section, we don't ask others, and then the others say, well, you didn't ask those guys. And then so we get sections sometimes and we don't get them other times. The standard should be they give us a plan and they give us a section, but they should also be giving us a cut sheet. If it's abnormal that we're seeing a 36 decibel speaker, then you might ask, how is anyone hearing what the order is?
If you want to ask them for the explanation of the 36, I'm fine with that. If you want to ask them for a section for completeness, that's fine too. But what I wanted to say is based on the graph that they submitted so far, it sounds like the sound propagation is not an issue.
Mhm.
But we could ask them to submit a section for completeness. That's okay.
And to explain why they don't need such, I mean, this is a McDonald's, all the other McDonald's, McDonald's is the one that produces, they have this standard, right? Everyone has to do the same thing. Otherwise you don't get a McDonald's franchise. So I don't understand why in this one, they're using a different speaker than in another one. And this is the same engineering firm that does everybody. Bowler does everybody. Why are they using now a speaker system that's less than the other guys? That doesn't really make sense. I didn't notice that, but I know that they're the same. We see them every single time at these McDonald's, and McDonald's has a standard. So why are they starting at a point? It says 36 decibels is the equivalent of a whisper in a quiet library. So you ordered a what with what? Because there's the noise of the cars, there's ambient noise around when you're sitting in your car, the radio's on, there's kids screaming. You need to be able to hear what the order is. So a quiet library, they're asking you what your order is. Something doesn't connect there. Anyway.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, okay. Anything else?
Nope,
No, okay. And
thank you.
Commissioner Shibeta.
Thank you, Chair. I think you raise a really good point with regard to the speaker plausibility. I'd like to know a bit more about that as well now. I was satisfied with the lumen spread diagram. And I also appreciate the chair submission, a statement with regard to the piecemeal submission. That being said, taken as a whole, I found the entirety of the submission responsive. I wish it were submitted in a complete uniform submission. The only other comment I had was with regard to the unplanted strip that was mentioned. I don't believe that they necessarily need to landscape the entirety of lot 28, but they could do the border because that's exactly where that's where that lane of car is. Even if it's for an aesthetic purpose, they could do the border. And the only other question I had that I don't believe was responded to was the date of when the drive-through commenced. We asked them to give us a date certain of when they started drive-through activity, and I didn't find that answer. I'm not sure if any of the other commissioners found it.
No. I think maybe, is this the one? No. Okay, never mind. I thought somebody had direct experience with this one and said that you've been remembering it forever. That's not the one. That's Commissioner Otley Brown. Yeah. Here, I'm unmuting you. Oops. Wait, you're talking and it's muted. Stop. Okay.
This is the one where I can remember it for a long time.
Okay. Okay, so that's kind of why we had firsthand experience, but it's true, we did ask for date certain and they didn't give it to us. Okay.
I'll be satisfied by Commissioner Otley Brown's testimony.
Okay, and Commissioner Shonda had her hand up also.
I had an additional concern about the landscaping. The triangular portion of the paved area along the drive-by lane, the landscaping that is proposed are generally, they generally consist of low shrubs. I think this is an area that is wide enough. This is after the drive-through, there's the drive-by lane, and it's along the rear lot line of lot 28. And I think the planting there can be a lot more dense and higher to allow for additional sound and visual buffering.
No,
And
actually,
because that also backs up against the residential rear yard of the two the lots on what is called Tenbrook Avenue and Pearsall Avenue. So that another, they're proposing shrubs, but those are, I think, low shrubs. It might be worth it to have higher, taller shrubs that allow for more buffering, both visual and audible.
the TOE or Arbor Vitae that go to 6 feet, did you mean they should be taller?
But do they generally go to 6 feet? I've not seen them reach
So
that.
Arbor Vitae, it depends on how big. That's why I always ask for a big planting bed. It's always restricted by the root ball. So the bigger planting bed, the taller they grow. If you give them only like a 3-foot planting bed, they're not going to grow very tall. But if you give them a 4 or 5 feet planting bed, they can grow really tall, 10 feet, right? So that's why I'm asking for planting bed details. They just show them as a conception, as a concept, and not as the reality of what it's like to actually plant.
That's fine.
Right. Okay. So, I mean, we could say they need to be planted starting at 5 feet tall, then they'll grow taller, right? You start them at 5 feet, you buy them from the nursery that way. Which is what I think they do. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Anything else?
No, thank you.
Next one, or are we done?
Yeah.
So the next item is new cases, 2019-84BZ, 10718 70th Road, Queens. Just a reminder, it's a review session, so please don't call in yet.
Okay, sorry.
The PCE.
70th Road, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. This is a legalization. It opened in March of 2019. We have proof of service of initial application to officials and of notice of hearing to officials and neighbors. Community board recommends approval. We have DOI, a letter of no objection from the fire department. And I didn't have any other comments on this. So going to Commissioner Shanda.
I had no additional comments.
Okay.
Dara.
Otley Brown, you're reminding me.
No comments.
Okay. Commissioner Sheta.
I have no comments, but I do have a question. Is there any violations for the property since the open?
Okay.
Because they didn't mention that in the statement of facts.
Okay. And oops, Commissioner Shabeta. There we go.
Nothing further from me.
Okay. All right.
Item number 4, 2019-273BZ, 139-146 West Street, also known as 9-110 Barclay Street, 88-110 Vesey Street, Manhattan. This is also a physical culture establishment.
And this is still a review session,
Still
so
a review
please don't
session.
call in. Right. We have proof of service of initial application to officials, proof of hearing to officials and notice of hearing to officials and neighbors, and proof of posting in the lobby as a legalization. Community board recommends approval. We have DOI, have fire department letter of no objection, and have LPC certificate of no effect, I believe. On the issue of ADA access, I'd like them to explain how that works. The elevator goes to the general cellar level, and through it, you need to pass through a door that leads to the back of house corridor of the PCEs. So I don't understand how access is handled. So it means there's a patron wandering around the back of house of the PCE and actually the cellar, I think. At the first floor, the disabled person has to walk through 3 sets of doors or roll through 3 sets of doors into a building, into a building-controlled area. So I assume with security that probably has key card control down a long corridor to the main elevator bank. This will be a building with a lot of security because there's expensive condominiums and so on in the building. And I note that this is another case of the person least able to make the trip, taking the longest route to get to the space. So I ask, why not a Lula or a stair lift instead to satisfy this requirement? When you look at the first floor plan in general, because they provided a general plan, you see that there's another retail space just kind of up a little bit that put in a Lula. So I don't understand why you would make a disabled person like go on this long hike where maybe they can't even get in because security won't let them. So those were my comments. Commissioner Shanda?
I had no additional comments.
Okay. Otley Brown, if I can do it. There we go.
No additional comments.
Okay. Oops. Sheta? Commissioner Sheta?
Yeah, this is a mixed-use building, and I would anticipate from any applicant who's applying for a PCE in a mixed-use building that one of the very important things to mention, highlight in the statement of facts is the relation between the PCE location and the closest residential unit in the building. I haven't seen that in the statement of facts. The other thing is complaints. Is there any complaints?
Right. Okay. I didn't see that there were any submissions, letters of objection from neighbors, but again, I know that the notice has been a little confusing for these initial hearings, so.
I believe they posted in the lobby, if I
Yeah.
recall.
Yeah, they post in the lobby, but then we haven't heard complaints. We think that this is working, but we also haven't seen much in the way of testimony from the public, right? Where it's very easy to participate on these if you know how. So maybe we haven't had any hearings where people are bothered enough about the subject to participate. But that's just my concern because it's a little quieter than usual. So, but we haven't heard complaints.
I just wanted to get it from the applicant. If they knew about any complaints,
Right,
I want to hear it from them.
right. Okay. There we go. Commissioner Shabeta.
Nothing further from me on this.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so that concludes the Board of Standards and Appeals public review session. We will now commence with the Board of Standards and Appeals public hearing for May 5th, 2020, 10 a.m. So please call in when you hear your case, but wait for the chair to let you in. So the continued hearing, 2019-48BZ, 3145 41st Street, Queens. This is the office of Sheldon LaBelle. Oh, where's my other phone? Oh.
There he is. We have Frank Noriega just joined.
Oh, we got it. Okay.
Speak when you can hear us and turn off your video.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
State your name, please.
Frank Noriega on behalf of the applicant from Sheldon LaBelle.
Okay, let me swear you in.
Please do.
Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board and to respond honestly to board member questions?
I do.
Okay, please proceed.
Good morning, commissioners. I listened to the comments of the review session this morning, and it doesn't sound like there's too many issues that need to be, or no issues that need to be addressed. I just wanted to point out, in addition to the map showing the narrow buildings on narrow lots, there was also Zola information showing aerial views. In R5 districts, you don't have to provide a side yard if you abut a building. And if you look at these aerial views, you can see that these buildings are abutting other adjacent buildings. So they don't have to provide side yards. And that, so that there's no evidence that any of these buildings that I've seen have variance, but I haven't had a chance to look into that in the last 40 minutes since the review session.
Okay. Okay. No, but that's fair. So that's what I was thinking, that it had previously been a different zoning district, and you got away with you were able to not provide yards in some circumstances, and now you're what is the zoning district?
R5.
This is currently R5?
Correct.
Okay, so.
And I believe it's on quick review, it looks like these were all built as R5 as well. But again, because they abut buildings on either side, they don't have to provide a side yard. We're just hindered because on one side we have a building that's 8 feet away, so we can't abut it.
But so that's so that's a question I think, but I don't know, that 8 foot away rule may have been post 61, sorry, yeah, after the current situation.
It is possible. I was gonna say, it is possible. I didn't check the history of that specific requirement for the zoning text, but it is possible that maybe it was has been changed. But it looks like even under current circumstances, those buildings could be built because of the fact that they abut adjacent buildings.
I see. Okay, that's fair. Okay, I see the architect dialed in. State your name, please, just so we know you're.
Actually, it's Michael Long. I'm the owner.
Oh, you're
I don't know
the
if
owner.
architect is in today.
Sorry. We
No,
just need to
that's
make
fine.
sure
Thank
that
you.
you're there. Did you want to add anything?
Has to be sworn in.
No,
Okay.
nothing to add. I'm here for questions if you have any.
Okay. No, we don't have any questions. So actually, is anybody, any commissioners have anything they wanted to add? So I need to request also if there's any members of the public who want to speak on this. So
The item again is 2019-48BZ, 3145 41st Street, Queens. And the numbers across the screen, but the call-in number is 646-558-8656. Meeting ID is 921-8030-8008. And the password is 099696. Sorry, 099696, yeah.
no, that's the wrong one. Let's start over again. It's you dial 646.
It's 558-8656.
And
Zoom
then,
meeting, oh, sorry.
and then you simply, so 646-558-8656. And then when you get the signal, you put in the ID number, which is 921-8030-8008, pound sign.
Pound sign, sorry, yes.
That's it, okay?
Okay. I mixed that up between the Zoom and the phone.
Okay. Okay, then. So I would like then to make a motion to close this.
Chair Perlmutter,
Aye.
Vice Chair Chanda,
Oh,
Vice Chair Chanda,
Oh, aye. Did you hear me?
Commissioner Commissioner Otley Brown,
wait,
Aye.
Commissioner Sheta,
Aye.
Commissioner Shabeta.
say that again
Okay.
louder.
Okay, aye.
Okay,
I heard him.
okay. It was very
So
faint. Okay,
Okay,
thank you very much. We'll set a decision date, but there's no submission. Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you very much for dialing in.
Thank you. Thank you.
next item is 2019-188BZ, 1212 East Gun Hill Road, the Bronx. Neil, please pull in.
He's already in.
Yeah, okay, good. Sorry, I was just gonna dial him.
He's in, and there's also someone with phone number, last three digits, 642. I don't know who that is. We just lost Neil.
Sorry, this is Jared Jones from Bowler. I'm the 642 number.
Ah, okay. And what happened to Neil? He was here and we lost him?
Got him?
No. Oh, there's also,
Please state your,
Hello.
hi.
That's
State
Neil,
your name,
that's
please.
Neil.
State your name, please.
Hi, Neil Weisbart.
Okay, good. And the other person, say your name again, please.
Jared Jones from Bowler Engineering.
Okay, let me swear you guys in. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board and to respond honestly to board member questions?
I do.
I do.
Okay, proceed, Neil.
Hi, good morning. Neil Weisbart. Hope everyone's well. We just listened to review session, Jared and I. Sounds like the outstanding issues are the landscaping and some of the sound issues. So we will provide updated landscape drawings, which conform to your request. We'll go through the review session in more detail. We got a little rush there. And Jared could talk about that there may be some issues with providing landscaping on the triangular lot that McDonald's owns. And Jared, I don't know if you want to talk to we would be happy to put the landscape in that lot, but Jared was telling me there's some issues in doing that. Maybe Jared, you could clarify.
Yeah, just because of there's a great elevation at that wall there. So the McDonald's physical building is at the high side, and there's an approximately 3 to 4 foot high wall, and then there's a 6 foot high fence on there, on top of the wall. So providing landscaping or providing arborvitae's on the low side wouldn't really be screening anything but the back of the wall. So I'm not exactly sure if the commissioners recognize that there was that grade change there. Also, there's.
Why is that lot vacant and neglected like that?
So it was not originally a McDonald's lot. McDonald's originally purchased it 4 to 5 years ago and was going to try to include this in the redevelopment, but because it's not greater than the 25 feet, it just didn't work out. So they haven't done anything with that lot. It's just been sitting there vacant since even before they purchased it.
Yeah, but so that's the point. Now you're a corporation property owner that's neglecting a piece of property located in a residential neighborhood. And that's just not okay. You have to maintain your lot, right? And
this is in it. Jared, let me speak to this. So
yeah.
That's a separate issue than the drive-through. I'm not sure. I'd have to talk to corporate. They haven't received any violations that I'm aware of. I'll check that prior to our next submission. I don't think they're violating the law in any way of how it is maintained.
But that's not the point. You're a corporate owner who owns a piece of property in a residential district, which you shouldn't, frankly, right? Because it's a residential district. Am I right?
But there's still nothing why they can't own.
What's the
a lot.
C12 or 5? Yeah.
No, it's an R5. There's also an R5. I don't know where the overlay is.
It is. It's fully a residential district, that area.
It's in a residential district. So you're a corporate owner owning a piece
But
of, yeah, but the point is that,
I'm looking on this, there's no violation.
What? Sorry. So rather than argue with us, because I don't think you're going to get a lot of sympathy out of the board, you should be landscaping in some way the triangle, ground cover, shrubs. It's not a big deal and you should do it. And it doesn't, making excuses about whether you want to maintain your property in a way that's suitable for the community is just not really it's just not acceptable, especially these days.
Well, I'm just very concerned about what precedent that's going to set where the board is telling an owner of a property that has nothing to do with the application that they have to do something.
Mr. Weisbart, I would suggest you not worry about the precedent, but instead take care of the property because you're neglecting it and you're not, it just doesn't look good for the corporate image to have a blighted lot in a residential neighborhood that you originally purchased to develop for commercial purposes, which would have required, by the way, a variance from us. And now you're thinking, well, it's not convenient to do it. So really, the amount of money it would cost you to landscape that is so slight in the realm of the McDonald's Corporation, especially these days where everyone is relying on drive-ins, right? And so we could say, okay, terminate your drive-in. So this is a very small community give back. You should give back to the community. Commissioner Shanda has her hand up. Trying to unmute you. There you go.
Yeah, I think you answered that question because the entire site is in a residential zoning district, and even with the 25-foot rule, that site could not have been used as of right as a commercial use. So I'm actually a little confused. Why would somebody even purchase it without requiring any further action, discretionary action from any of the other city agencies to make it be used? To let it be used as a commercial use when only residential use is permitted, residential community facility use. Yes, there is a significant grade change as I'm looking at the photographs, but maybe you can, create some kind of a deep planter, like you have already provided those planters along the along like the concrete planter boxes that's there at the corner of East Gun Hill Road. Maybe that can be provided.
Or just plant in the dirt. If it's just dirt, dig it and put bushes
Well, I
in
think
it.
what Jared was, that's very,
Yeah,
listen, I
no.
understand what you're saying. Obviously, we're going to do what we have to do. We'll analyze it and we will landscape it, buffer it to your satisfaction.
Yeah, no, yeah, just to go on further, I was understanding that you guys were wanting it to be planted so that it was screening, not to plant it so that it's not, like you said, a blighted area or unmaintained property. So I guess that's two different conversations. So yeah, if we have to plant it, we'll take it back to McDonald's and recommend that they have it planted to satisfy the board.
Okay, I'm recognizing Commissioner Otley Brown and then Commissioner Shabeta.
If there's a grade change, I agree with the chair. That's no reason to not plant something, and it doesn't have to be arborvitae. In that area that actually doesn't have any arborvitae on the McDonald's side, you could plant trees that are going to eventually be 20, 30 feet high, and that will help buffer it as well. So I think you should be creative in designing your landscaped area.
So I don't know if the board's aware, there's already two rather large trees that are already planted in that area, which screen a majority of that section that's not, but there's some room to provide some additional plantings, and so we'll definitely study it and see what we can accommodate.
Yeah, I think it's best that at this time you guys go back and take the statements of the board and work with them rather than letting us keep looking at this and maybe finding something else you might want to do with it.
Agreed.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so the 24-hour drive-through, we did respond. I did not respond in writing the need for that, but we did talk about at the last hearing that a majority, this is how these McDonald's, many McDonald's, I'm not going to say all, but many McDonald's rely on the drive-through operating 24 hours to keep this businesses open. And this is one of the restaurants that requires 24 hours, and I can put that in writing. And
yeah. Explain why this is the one that requires it where others don't, because we often get ones where the drive-throughs are stopped at some reasonable hour at night, right? So, which is another reason why the sound transmission is such an important conversation, because if you're operating at 3 in.the morning when there's basically no ambient noise, the sound will really travel and be very noticeable in the neighborhood. And so you need to be very careful about the sound transmission, hence the reason for more planting in part, right? And for us to have more information about the speaker systems. Actually,
okay,
so I have a question about the speakers though, and I see Commissioner Shanda has her hand up. This information was taken, was modeling or were meter readings on the?
The sound manufacturer provided us with data on what the output levels are, ranging from the maximum to when it has the automatic voice control. They have the ability to basically set the maximum output anywhere between 35 decibels up to 75. We have been specifying that the output of the menu board be limited to basically the ambient noise, which is the 45 decibels, and dropping down from there as it travels out by distance. So that's why the data you have in front of you now shows it at the 45 decibel output at the speaker with the automatic voice control on, which is specified. But this is the same system that you've seen in the previous McDonald's in the last couple of years. It's just they have different settings, in which, again, based on the board's comments, we're trying to obviously limit the sound and be cognizant of the neighbors as much as possible. So that's why that numbers are a little lower than you've seen in the past.
But wait a second. So you're saying this came from the manufacturer, but these are not field readings.
They did field readings basically on that system, they didn't do field readings at the specific site because it's not installed. We can't do field readings until it's installed.
Oh, it's not installed yet. Okay,
No, this work is not done. No.
I see.
So they took a standard menu board, set it up, similar circumstances, and took measurements at 10, 20, 30 distances and provided.
But we do have a cut sheet, which we will provide in the next submission.
Okay. So, but I do see two commissioners have their hands up, but I just want to finish that line of question. Why are the outputs here so much lower than they are at other McDonald's locations that that your engineering company that Bowler has been handling?
They're not that much lower. I mean, they've been set a little lower at this site because the board specifically requested that we limit the output.
We always request that you limit the output.
Yeah, and it has been reduced, and we provided either sound attenuation material, additional plantings.
No. The output from the speaker. We always require you limit the output from the speaker, and it's never been offered at 45 dBA. It normally starts in the 50s. So, or maybe higher. So I don't understand.
The last couple of applications that I've done have been at 45 dBAs. Well, like Willard's Point that we're going through now is at 45. So I can't speak to prior to that, but it's been reduced.
Okay. All right. I'm going to recognize Commissioner Shanda and then Commissioner Sheta.
Couple of questions. As this was being discussed, I was looking at the Google Street View and I was comparing it to the existing built plan, the existing condition plan, which is BSA drawing 001. And in terms of the landscaping. So currently there are these yellow bollards that are placed a few distance in front of a, it seems like it's about 3 foot or so of a distance from in front of the fence. That has not been dimensioned very clearly in the drawing. So it's very difficult to say what is that depth. And my reason for asking that question is that when I look at the proposed plan, and it seems like you're going to revamp that entire area. You're going to rebuild you're going to build a new curb, you're going to pave that entire rear lot line area. If you're doing that, I think you may have enough of a depth of a 4 foot wide depth from the fence line up to the drive-through paved area to provide landscaping within your property line. This is based on what I'm looking at the Google Street View and the existing and the proposed plan. So do give us a clearer dimension of it to see if it's possible for you to fit in the landscaping with acoustical fences within that 4 foot area where the fences and where the new drive-by lane is going to be.
You're talking about the gap where there's no arborvitae on the landscape plan?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So the reason why there's not is, I'll dimension a little better on the plan, but that 4 foot from the front of the curb to the property line is not a true 4 foot because you have that wall runs through there. So if you're looking at the street view, that's that red, obviously the red wall.
Yes.
That takes up a good portion of it. So that curb line is basically right at the front of the wall on the McDonald's side. So I'll dimension it better so you see the dimension of how thick the wall is, how thick that little strip is on the lower side, so it's clearer. But again, I don't think there's going to be sufficient room to plant in that area, just with the wall and the fence. But I'll give you a clearer detail.
Because I mean, right now in that area, there isn't any tree, any planting or anything. Whatever tree there is, it's to the abutting residential. I also want to make that, let that be very clear. The other question I had was on the East Gun Hill Road, there are two entrances. One is the entrance through to the drive-through. And then there is the entrance on the eastern side of the McDonald's. Is that both an ingress and egress?
No, so the one on the west side is ingress only, and then the one on the eastern side is egress only.
That is the existing condition, or that's the proposed condition?
That's
because
no, that's both conditions. Well,
Well,
the
because
existing
the
condition,
gun, based on the street view, please listen to me, based on the street view, the curb cut to the east side of McDonald's is acting as both ingress and egress.
yeah, it's striped that way. That's not the way it's going to be in a new condition.
Okay,
With it as being reduced, it's really not a safe condition. You have people going out, in and out. So that is being changed to allow out only.
okay. Thank you for that clarification.
And that's where the sign was that you requested to will say no left turn will be installed as well.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Question. Now I'm on street view and I see hands from other commissioners and I will get to you. You say there's a grade change, but it looks mostly like it's mostly a wall. Can you find out what the grade change actually is? Because it feels like it's 2 feet and you're making it into sound like it's such a big deal, but I don't think it's actually so big. Doesn't look like it's a 4-foot retaining wall. It looks like it's a 2-foot retaining wall.
Which street are you looking at on Parasol, or are you looking at along the residential?
I'm looking at the adjacent to the triangular lot 28.
Yeah, so the bottom of the wall is approximately elevation 91 and a half, and the top of the wall ranges from 95 to 96.
Not the top of the wall. The grade level of the parking area versus the grade level of lot 28. Because you can reconfigure the wall for landscaping purposes. It seems pretty obvious to me that you would landscape that in a way to be really a buffer. But rather than, I really want to give the other commissioners a chance to speak. So I'm recognizing Commissioner Shetta and then Otley Brown.
Thank you, Chair. On the landscaping issue, I believe the wall height is about 4 feet. I'm looking at it right now. I probably can share my screen if you would like to.
No, don't share screens.
Yeah, but it's yeah, I would say it's about 4 feet.
That's the wall height as opposed to the grade level. Grade.
The top of wall is about 4 feet above the adjacent triangular, and there is I don't see significant difference between the grade at the inside the McDonald's facility and the top of the wall. I believe they more or less they are very close.
We know.
Correct. It's going to be about a 6-inch by the time you get through the curb and then back down to the pavement. So
that sounds.
You're talking anywhere.
Yeah, that sounds like right. The top of the wall could be higher 6-inch than McDonald's pavement, and McDonald's pavement could be about 3.5 feet above the triangular property.
Exactly.
Planting wise,
exactly.
if we're gonna ask them to plant something inside the property, inside McDonald's, I would say pavement side, from the retaining wall, from that tiny retaining wall, if they gotta plant something, McDonald's building side, I would suggest that something does not have significant root depth. And I'm not a landscape expert, but if the thing that's going to be planted has significant root depth, like a big tree, I would suggest that it could be planted the other side inside the triangle. And I would say there are already 2 trees there, 2 big trees. So if they can continue that line next to the fence with similar trees, that would be perfect for buffering and for sound attenuation as well.
Just to make sure I'm understanding you.
We're gonna avoid the impact of the tree hitting the retaining wall and creating pressure on that retaining wall. If we put the trees on the other side, probably 2-3 years from now, the retaining wall is gonna be like cracking. So you don't want to see something like that.
Just to make sure I'm understanding you properly, you're saying plant 2 trees on the triangular piece, correct?
Whatever number of trees required to be planted, if they are significant depths, if they're having significant root depths, put them inside the triangular area, not the other
Yeah,
side.
okay, yeah, correct. Okay,
Yes,
yeah,
understood.
Yep.
Just,
Okay,
just
yep,
to
understood.
Just to clarify, that's what we've been talking about all along, that we want the triangular area heavily landscaped to function as a screen between a noisy, busy, all-night drive-through, and the residential area, and to also not look like neglected property, which it should never look like.
The reason I said that, because I listened to the vice chair suggesting that they could plant the other side. And I got the concern that if they plant inside between the bollards and the wall, or between the drive-through and the wall, if they plant in this, let's say they create like 2 or 3 feet buffer zone and they plant this. If the root depth of the plants is significant, the wall is gonna suffer, and we don't wanna like direct them to do something like that.
Okay.
This is one thing. On the other side, regarding the sound, and the question is to the Bowler's engineer. My understanding is that the shading represents the decibel values differential from the ambient. Is that correct? Or these color shading represent the total, including the ambient?
They represent the output. They represent the output from the menu board and what sound level you should expect at that level.
Including the ambient or excluding?
I have to double check that. I believe it's including, but I have to double check the information from the manufacturer. But
that's what I expect to. It should be including, because what you're saying is that the microphone output is just 15 dB above the ambient, which is, you said it's generally considered as 45. So I would say
correct.
both of them, if they are additive, they should be 60. So what you're saying is that right next to the microphone, you have 36. Why is that?
Because when the AVC is on, it reduces the sound output.
But how come when the AVC is on, it takes it down below the ambient, below the 45? Is that possible?
No.
It's kind of, you're by what is plotted actually is kind of this. The microphone would act as a sound attenuation equipment. Could that be true?
No.
No, because it doesn't broadcast the sound. It doesn't add the ambient sound to the output of it. It broadcasts at a level that reaches.
You mean it's not linear addition?
So sound is not linear. No, it's logarithmic.
Yes, I understand. So, it's a vectorial addition. I totally understand that. But even if it's a vectorial addition, when you have two waves in opposite propagating against each other, then you get that kind of attenuation or damping. But when you have two waves traveling in the same direction, if they are totally identical in everything and they travel the same, they add linearly. If not, they add vectorially. And if you if let's say I would consider the worst case scenario, which is the linear addition, and because you're not sure about the direction of the ambient noise wave, where it's coming from and how strong is it and what kind of characteristics it has. So if you consider linear, I should see at least 60, not at least, I should see 60 right at the microphone, probably 45, 55, something around 60, not higher than 60, but something close to 60. What we're looking at right now is just 36. That doesn't make sense.
But I think you're assuming that we're going to get the same sound output from both the menu boards at the same exact time, at the same volume, at the same. Is that what I'm hearing, Commissioner?
No. He's saying, how can you have ambient noise of 45? I'm standing there. 45 is the ambient, trucks driving by and so on. And then the speaker is output is 36, which is lower than ambient. For how will
Speaker is
anyone
15,
hear?
Chair. The speaker is 15. It's 15
15.
above the ambient.
Where do you, they're
If,
saying
if you look
15.
at the notes, note number 3 and note number 2, the
Yeah.
notes right below the legend where
Oh,
it
oh,
says
yeah.
menu board.
I see.
Yeah, speaker
So-
system designed to project 15
Okay.
dB above ambient sound. And he's
Okay.
saying that ambient sound is generally considered 45 dB.
So then how could it be, how could the red be 36 is then the
That's-
question.
So the 60 would be the maximum that it can output. I will clarify that for you in the next submission.
Thank you.
Yeah, doesn't make sense.
And provide section, please.
Right. I mean, I think actually that's why this diagram is so confusing. We're used to looking at diagrams that make more sense where the output is big. And then we're stepping it down as we go further away and then we hit that wall, right?
Can we ask for something additional to this? And I'm gonna make this like tradition from now and moving forward. Can you give us like a brief description of whatever you're using to provide this figure? I'm not sure if you're using computer code or you're doing this using, I believe it's a computer code. It cannot be done like that with a spreadsheet. So if you're using a computer code, can you give us the name of that computer code? And
Yeah, we'll include that in the cut sheet. That's the information we have from the manufacturer. So it's right from their cut sheet. We'll provide that.
No, I'm not talking about the 15 and the 36. I'm talking about, you see the shading that's overlain on the plan.
Mm-hmm. No, yes, that'll be that information is directly from their cut sheet. So
No, but when they're
You're
modeling
saying
it,
the reading analysis is on the cut sheet of how it
Yes.
disperses?
correct. Yeah.
If what you're saying doesn't make sense, I'll tell you why in a second. But what you're telling me now doesn't make sense. The reason why is this. If I asked you at the beginning, and that's why I asked you, that shown indicate the total, including the ambient, and you said most likely, and I buy what you said. And the reason for that is, like I said, I look at the red, it's 36. It's not 15. If it's just a microphone, it should have been limited to 15, but it's not. So it's including the ambient. Now, let's say I have a project, a McDonald's in Queens, and I have another McDonald's in Staten Island, very quiet neighborhood. I have a McDonald's. The ambient is totally different from the two locations. So how come the manufacturer provide you with the shading, which you just take and overlay on your plan, and you claim that it includes the ambient? How come the manufacturer like change his shading from location to location and factor in the ambient for different locations? That doesn't make sense, right?
in other words, there's
No,
different ambient.
No, yes, I understand what you're saying. Again, I'll have to get more information, but it's widely considered that ambient is 45 degrees, so 45 decibels, so they took that as the baseline. Now, obviously, if it's less than, it'll be a little less. If it's more than, it'll be more. But yes, I understand what you're saying. I will get you more information on that.
And like I said, we need the rationale for producing this plan. Rationale could be an equation. It could be a spreadsheet. The approach. Give us the approach. Are you using an equation? Are you using a spreadsheet? Are you using a computer code? And if you're using a manufacturer produced figure, ask them what is the rationale behind that.
Okay. Yep,
Thank
I will
you.
get that for you.
Thank you.
Okay, and then Commissioner Otley Brown, there we go.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was suggested or not, but I wanted to go back to that curb cut on the eastern side of the building that you're saying is going to be exit only. Are you going to put any kind of signage that says do not enter? Because currently there's a behavior of people entering and exiting, and that's not going to change very easily.
Yeah, it's not shown on this BSA plan, but we're putting new stop and do not enter signs on both sides of those, on that curb cut.
Okay, thank you.
So we'll provide revised plans showing that.
Mhm. Okay. Okay, so you'll show the signs then, okay? Great.
Yes, ma'am.
And Commissioner Shanda had her hand up.
Sorry to bring up the eastern curb cut, just a thought. By allowing vehicles only to enter along the western side, we are going to bring in more vehicles that are going to go all the way to the rear residential lot line and then go into the parking lot that is located on the eastern side. So that just goes to the point that we have to make sure there's really good buffering and visual and audio buffering along the rear lot line of the parking lot. The second question I have is along the Pearsall Avenue. It's not clear. I'm looking at the Google Street View. Along Pearsall Avenue, there is this kind of a sandy pit that is outside the red concrete barrier. Is that within the property line of McDonald's, or that is outside McDonald's property line? Because I'm not able to connect that with the site plan.
That grass area, for the most part, is within the McDonald's property line. So that's being replaced with grass, and that wall is actually coming out and being a new curb wall is being put in.
Okay. So then if it is grass, the landscaping schedule doesn't seem to indicate that there is any grass that is being proposed along. It seems it's going to be all concrete because there is not, just as proposed lawn area, but we don't know the detail of it. And, it needs to be something.
Not concrete, but you will you want the specs of that type of grass, I guess, or we'll talk to the landscape architect just to make it clear what's going to be there.
Yeah, you want to make sure that it kind of sustains itself. It doesn't end up being just this kind of, area without any. Again, I'm not a landscape person at all, but I just want to make sure it doesn't revert back to what we are seeing in the Google Street View, which is kind of a barren soil condition. And
Well, you just planting. I mean, it's soil. You treat it like a garden. You don't need to treat it like planters. You use planters where you've got a concrete or asphalt paving that comes right up it, right?
Yeah, right. I just want to make sure it's kind of a lawn that kind of sustains itself and doesn't result in becoming just soil condition.
Yes, so it can't be grass. The planting solution cannot be grass because grass is normally dead, right? It has to be trees, bushes, ground cover, etc., like that. Okay.
So you're saying the lawn, it's not acceptable as a lawn area. It's going to have to be something shrubbery. I just want to be clear what we're being asked to do here.
So landscape is never grass, because grass doesn't last for more than a few minutes. It's got to be in this triangular area. It's got to be landscape. The landscape architect will know what that means, right? Trees.
Oh, no, I was talking about along Pearsall.
Oh, along Pearsall. Oh, okay.
We were talking.
Sorry, along Pearsall.
It says the commissioner was concerned that was going to be concrete as it is now, but the plan show proposed lawn area. I just want to be clear that
Yes. No. So that's again, so it never can be grass because the grass doesn't last, right? So it should be low bushes and shrubs and ground cover, and to the extent that it's possible, trees. You've got one tree there, but part of the problem is your landscape drawing doesn't reflect reality. So you actually have landscaping in places currently that are not shown on these drawings. So unless you're proposing to remove that, which I don't really understand, but if you're proposing to remove it, it's one thing, but right now it's not representing what the actual condition. But in any event, all planting should be shrubs, ground cover trees.
Well, So that I think you're talking about that. I guess that little bush or two bushes that are at that corner of Purosol and Gun Hill. Those are being replaced with a new tree. Plus, there has to be some regrading in there to make the water flow properly to the sewer connection. So that's coming out, which is why it's not showing on the new plan. But
Okay,
I understand that you're looking for some additional plantings, which we'll revisit.
right, because there's no reason for all that to be just concrete or dried up dirt or whatever.
Yeah.
It needs to be landscaped, okay?
Yeah, there's no concrete, just so the commissioners are aware. It was intended to be landscaping, but if it needs to be dressed up some further, it will.
Yeah, well, it's not shown that way. It's shown as 7 feet of we don't know what.
Well,
Right?
It's,
Says
it's
lawn.
called out
It
as,
says lawn.
yeah, lawn, which is,
Terrible.
it
It's
was
terrible
intended to be
because-
grass, but
Right,
it'll be
so
updated.
lawn doesn't work because it's not maintained. It just dries up and then that's the end becomes dirt. That's why it needs to be landscaped. Okay,
Okay, and I think the last comment was, how long has the drive-through been in existence? Jared, we believe 1978. Jared, you said you might have had a photograph?
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to find it. I believe it was in the late 70s, but I have to pull the photo, the aerial.
all right, so
So
you'll
we'll
put
provide-
that in your submission then. Right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else? Anything else from commissioners? Okay, so we're inviting the public to participate now. So,
Calendar number is 2019-188BZ, 1212 East Gun Hill Road, the Bronx.
and if you want to participate in the call, you'll call 646-558-8656. And at the prompt, 921-8030-8008, #.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I'll give them a few minutes.
That's always it.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so thank you very much.
I'm
Yeah,
working scheduling, but I think we could turn this around quickly. I'm not sure if you're deciding the dates now, but we're
No.
not going to need, I don't think we would need more than a month to get this to you. Jared,
okay.
do you agree?
Sorry. Yes. Yep.
So you're thinking that you could answer all the questions thoroughly without any open issues in a month? Okay, we'll
Yes.
take a look. Maybe I'll give you a little more time than a month. Okay. Okay.
Well, it doesn't matter. There's everything, Jared can handle everything except the landscaping, and he already has a landscape architect. So I don't think we need more than a month, if I could.
Okay, well,
Re-
we have a calendar, we'll fit you in, okay? But it
Okay.
may be longer, it's gonna be longer than a month, okay?
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much for calling in, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay,
New cases, item number 3, 2019-84BZ, 107 18 70th Road, Queens. This is an Ackerman application. Frank St. John.
(2019-84BZ), please dial in. 107 18 70th Road. There we go.
See, oh, okay. Calling faster than I can type, than I can text. Frank, you in? Oh, he's recording,
Oh.
right?
Yes, I'm here. Hi.
Oh,
Can
hi,
you hear me?
how are you? Yeah,
Hey, Tony.
okay. You want to raise your right hand so I can swear you in?
Sure.
Do Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board and to respond on city board member questions?
I do.
Please proceed.
Good morning, everyone. Frank St. Jacques, Ackerman LLP for the applicant. We listened to the comments in the review session. With respect to violations, there were no violations when we submitted the application, and nor are there any now. I just checked on bids, so there are no Department of Buildings or Environmental Control Board violations. I do have one request. When we initially filed the application, the hours requested were Saturday 7 to 1, Sunday 8 to 2, and Monday through Friday 5 to 9. The applicant has asked if we can make a request to extend the hours. I assume that would just require modifying the language in the statement of facts to extend the hours on weekends from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and then on weekdays from 4:30 a.m. to 10 a.m.
4:30 a.m. to 10 a.m.
4:30.
4:30, yeah,
a.m. to 10 p.m.
to 10 p.m. I'm
Mhm.
sorry, I think I said a.m. to a.m. So again, that's Saturday and Sunday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Monday through Friday, 4:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. That's an expansion of about 2 hours, 2 hours earlier on the weekends, about 4 to 5 hours later on the weekends, but then half an hour earlier on the weekdays and an hour later on the weekdays. So given the commercial nature of this area, we don't anticipate any issues. It's entirely commercial, and entirely commercial buildings surrounded by only commercial uses. This would just give them some flexibility to offer more classes when they are able to reopen, if possible.
Okay.
So we could make that submission in writing if the board's amenable to that change.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Any comments from the commissioners? If so, raise your hand. Everybody okay with this? We have everyone nodding in agreement for the record. Okay. All right. So yes, so you would need to submit a revised statement of facts with a cover letter indicating why you're revising your statement, so we don't have to read the whole thing and figure it out. Okay. Anything else, council? Do you need anything else in order to make that clear that that's a revision?
No.
That seems fine.
Okay, great. Okay, good. All right then. So let's see if there's any member of the public who would like to speak on this application. So we're inviting members of the public to call in on this application 2019-84BZ 107-18 70th Road, Queens. It's a Orange Theory Fitness. If you're interested in calling, please call 646-558-8656 and dial 921-8030-8008 # for the password. Just give them a few 30 seconds. Should have a timer. Okay. So I think then we can make a motion to close this.
Chair Perlmutter,
Aye.
Vice Chair Chanda,
Aye.
Commissioner
Aye.
Otley Brown,
Aye.
Commissioner Sheta.
Aye.
Will you repeat that?
Aye.
Thank you. And Commissioner Shabeta.
Aye.
Okay.
So-
Application is on for decision.
On for decision with the resubmission of the statement of facts with cover letter.
Thank you, commissioners. We'll get that in quickly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 4, 2019-273BZ 146 West Street, Manhattan. This is also a PC, is a Rumble Fitness. Jay Goldstein is the applicant.
Please, there he is.
There he is, got him? Okay. say his second.
There's a 30-second time delay. It takes a while for them to hear us.
Oh, okay.
Morning, how are you?
Good morning. State your name, please.
Jay Goldstein for the applicant. Sorry, thought I was getting sworn in.
Okay. Do you, raise your right hand, do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board, and to respond honestly to board member questions?
I do.
Please proceed.
Good morning, Jay Goldstein for the applicant. I listened to today's review session and I'd like to respond to the board's comments as best as I can. With regard to the ADA, I understand the board's comments, and unfortunately it's not a unique situation to these types of buildings, the larger buildings with commercial use. The ADA access is not through the commercial lobby directly. So there's an entrance through our space. Any patron requiring ADA accessibility will come in through the entrance to our space on the first floor. And then there's a door, and we have a path or the egress path, which shows the arrows to the ADA elevator. So they'll go through reception from our space, be accompanied by a member of our staff to the elevators to gain access to the cellar floor. This is something that's actually a better scenario than other gyms we've had, where they've had to actually go through the commercial lobby. But in this situation, they will be able to access through our space, so they don't have to worry with security or contend with security, and they'll be accompanied by staff. So while it's not an ideal situation, it's a situation that's not unique, and it's a situation that we think is better than other gyms in the area or other gyms that have been approved.
Why not provide a lift like the retail space down a little further in the building did?
This is a very small first floor space. So it's essentially a staircase, a reception desk, and then the personal training studio. So there's really nowhere in this first floor to buy the Lula without losing the reception or the entire studio. Plus the cost of doing so it's an exceptional cost. Lulas are an expensive proposition, especially with a building like this.
Why, especially with a building like this?
It's an old building. It's a landmark building. The hoops that we'd probably have to jump through to get the Lula installed and approved would be probably extremely costly above and beyond the Lula. Lulas themselves, I know, are, run into the almost six figures to get a Lula in a building, at least from the projects that I've been involved in. So I understand it's not a great solution, but I mean, we recently had a gym together where the patrons had to come to our space, get signed in, then leave, go through the main lobby, contend with security, then go downstairs through the building elevators. At least in this situation, there's direct access from our space with accompaniment of a staff member downstairs directly to the gym.
Any comments from other commissioners? No? Okay.
I understand the board's concerns. Unfortunately, this is the best solution that we had at the time. The next comments, I think, were with regard to Commissioner Shetta's comments with regard to everyone really's comments with regard to it's a mixed use building. This is the Verizon building. So we're in the cellar level and then a small portion on the first floor. The nearest residential use is on the 11th floor. Everything in between is the Verizon, I forget what they call it, but the Verizon offices and their machinery. We've been open since November. We've had no complaints. We're obviously closed now, but there have been no complaints from any tenants in the building, at least to my knowledge, because there are 10 stories between us. And we did do a significant amount of soundproofing, the box within a box for this gym to ensure that we don't impact anybody.
Okay. Any other questions from commissioners? If so, just raise your hands. No other questions? Okay, great. So then I would like to invite members of the public to speak on this.
This item is 2019-273BZ, 139-146 West Street, Manhattan. It is the Rumble Fitness.
So if you're interested in speaking about this, please call 646-558-8656. Meeting ID number, once you get the signal, 921-8030, 8008 #. Okay. Okay, then, I think I don't see anyone in the waiting room. So I think then we could make a motion to close this unless there's any last minute comments from commissioners. I'm looking to see if I can see the whole screen. Anything from commissioners on this? So I'd like to make a motion to close.
Chair Perlmutter? I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Aye.
Vice Chair Chanda?
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown?
Aye.
Commissioner Sheta?
Aye.
Commissioner Shabeta?
Aye.
So this
Okay.
is closed with no submission, correct?
No submission, right.
Okay.
So
you
we'll
very
put
much.
it on for decision as soon as we can, okay? Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. I'll see you all later.
Okay. So this concludes the morning calendar for May 5th, 2020. We'll resume at 2 p.m. for the following cases. 2019-306BZ, 49 West 23rd Street, Manhattan, and 2019-265BZ, 60371A, 35 Gifford Lane, Staten Island.
Great. Thank you, everyone. See you later.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Again.
Thanks.
Thank you.